After you finish applying base number 1 and base number 2, you're now ready to put on your blush color as well as the cast shadow color. I thought I recorded myself doing this, but when I looked at my camera roll, I made a mistake and I actually didn't get the video. So instead, I'll talk about where you should be putting your blush color and where you should be putting your cast shadow. Notice that the blush color is on the cheeks, around the nose, the lips obviously, and also in the eyes. When you're thinking about your blush color, it's basically the parts of your face that get red when you're really cold or you're really hot. As you can see from this stock photo here, sometimes people wear makeup either to conceal or enhance this redness. For the cast shadow color, you're going to put this anywhere there is a shadow that's being created by another object or another body part. So I'm noticing that the hair on the left-hand side is casting a shadow over her eye, and her chin is casting a shadow on her neck. You can also use this color to accentuate or emphasize. So even though there isn't a cast shadow on the right side, I still wanted to use the blue sort of like a frame, and then I also used it underneath the chin as a way to accentuate the lips. Then to blend these layers in, you're going to use base number 1. You can also use base number 2, basically anything that you use for the skin. When I'm blending, one thing that I try to do is I blend the area that's the darkest and then I kind of fade it into a gradient so that it goes from dark to light. I'm also pulling some of the color into the rest of the skin to make that transition a little bit smoother. Also notice that I'm blending in the direction or the contour of the face. So for this hair area that's casting a shadow over Alexis's face, I'm making sure that that shadow is still following the direction of the hair. Notice also that I'm turning the oil pastel, so I'm using just the edge of it to get the details really crisp. For this area, I want to make sure that the blue stays under the lip and doesn't blend into it. After you finish adding your blush layer and your cast shadow layer and you're done blending it, now you can start defining the facial features. For this, I'm going to be using a different color, but you can use the same color that you have been using. I'm using a purple, and I'm going to define the edge between the top and the bottom lip, the side of the nose, the nostril, as well as the negative space of the nostrils themselves. You're going to add a really small amount because we want these details to be pretty accurate. Then, same as before, use either base number 1 or base number 2 color to blend it in. But don't blend the areas that you need to stay really sharp. So I'm only going to blend in the side of the nostril, but not the negative space of the nostril. For the next part of this video, I'm going to rework my base number 1 and base number 2 color, and I'm going to continue blending in my blush layer, adding some more value to the darker areas of the skin, and just touching some things up. After you add the blush layer and the cast shadow, you can start to add highlights. So here I'm adding white to the lips, and notice that I'm pulling the oil pastel downwards to simulate the texture of the lips. I'm also going to add some to the tip of the nose, the cupid's bow, the chin, and around the eyebrows, right above the brow bone. Then to blend it all in, I'm going to use my base number 1 and base number 2. Now that the skin is completely done, now I can draw the brows. I'm using the same purple color as before, and when I'm drawing, I'm using a really wispy line. So every time I make a line, I'm trying to replicate the direction of the hair growth as well as the individual strands of the hair. Be really careful not to outline the eyebrows. I think that if you do this, it can look a little bit alarming, so work with the wispy marks, work in layers, and then build it up until you're happy with it. For the rest of this video, I'm going to be reworking into some of my layers, making some of these edges a little bit crisper, blending my shadows better, and then also adding some details that I might have forgotten. So I forgot to do the shadows in the ear, and I'm also going to be adding some white around the face as the reflected light.